Well, good morning to all of you.
Good morning out there.
Good morning and happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you. And Sandra's the early bird and second runner-up was dead this morning.
All right.
Good morning, John Greason. Good morning, Sissy and brother-in-law. Good morning, Dee Dee and George. And Jill. I'm glad you all are here this morning. Hey, Verndy, you and Johnny. And Sinette, hey, sweetie, from Denmark. How are you doing this morning? And Joe, I'm glad you're here. Phyllis is here. Tanita is here. Hey, Tanita, tell your mama hey. And Alicia and Fleta, I'm so glad you guys are here with us this morning. And Judy, I'm glad you're here, darling. And Esther Kessler. And I wonder if Brooke Kessler is on here. Or is he working?
Mm-hmm.
He's working all the time. It's good to have you guys here. Good morning, Phyllis Stapler.
All right.
Yeah, somebody wished me happy birthday early, and thank you. Thank you. Yes, my birthday is, I think it's, when is it? Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday of this week? Let's see, when is it? Yeah, Wednesday. Wednesday. And I'll be 73. Oh my God.
She's trying to catch up with me. I got a 74 coming up, but she thinks she's gonna catch me. I'm gonna outrun.
Well, I have caught you. You're still 73.
You ain't caught me yet. You wait.
Yes, I have. Mm-hmm. You are 73, and you won't turn 74 until November.
Yeah, that's all right.
So I have caught you.
Keep running.
Yeah. Good morning, Charles Blue. You and the family. I hope you're doing well.
Okay.
I'm going to read something to you. Not a long thing this morning, but I just wanted to thank you guys for tuning in to us. Hey, Phyllis Kendrick. And I found this in my old journals. I mean, gosh, I can't believe we were talking about this stuff years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I don't know how our church survived us.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were so on the cutting edge and so different than the average pastors in what we were teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand why those who actually attended our services, they think differently, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think they think differently because we've been teaching this for so long. These journals are way back in 2008, 2010. Wow. And even older than that, but we were teaching this because our foundation, or I should say the cornerstone of our message is union with Christ. And so from that point up to now, we've just expanded on that same cornerstone message, that message which is the cornerstone of everything that we've done. And so it's just so different seeing that we've been teaching this for so long, but I can look back in those journals and see where we tried to incorporate what we had discovered about our union with Christ into the fundamental teachings of the church. And it was cutting edge. And I've heard others say that we were at least 5 years ahead of everyone else at that time. And it is true, we were. Because I think a lot of the things we were preaching then is what the church is now just coming into.
Yeah. Right.
Just coming into. But anyway, this was pulled from one of my old journals, and I think it was something I wrote down because at that time, he would often walk the floor when we were having service. He would walk out he never stayed in the pulpit very much. So he would walk the floor, and I think this is the inspiration that came to you, and I wrote it down.
It's amazing you're talking about that because while I was in another part of the house waiting for the crank up time here, I was thinking down that line, and then I come in here and sit down and you're talking about it.
Yeah, we do that a lot now, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So end up, I'm thinking something and you'll say it, or you're thinking something and I say it. And
I was sitting in a chair thinking about talking to somebody, and she turned around and looked
and say the exact same
and started telling me about the person I was thinking about. That's strange.
So it's almost like the only separation we have now is in our bodies and our minds, but we're so connected in this message and in this realization until it and even intuitively, like he's saying, we've gotten so connected to the point where I was thinking about this morning, how would either of us function without the other one? And that's becoming an issue in my mind, but I'm going to leave that alone.
Okay.
Pearl says,
yeah, I was just looking at that. See,
yeah,
I was just looking at that, and then you just went to it.
Yeah. And so Pearl says that it's because of what we were taught that many of us didn't shipwreck, especially the ones that caught on. So thank you both. Yes, thank you,
Thank
Pearl.
you.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Because and I've often said this, that all we've ever done is to share our journey. That's really
it. That's
really
about.
all we've ever done is share our journey.
That's what put out, what came in was released.
So we're not those pastors that study for a sermon.
No, we tried that.
Well, we have done that because our minds often tell us, well, you need to know what you're going to say. But we've kind of evolved past that. But we've never been the kind to sit and study for sermon, a particular sermon, unless we were thinking about doing a series of something we felt like the people needed to know. Other than that, we just constantly consume inspirational material. And that gives us what we need to say. And it's, you call it shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
But it's really just being intuitive and allowing it to come up, wisdom to emerge. And so it's very simple when you don't allow the fear to take over, that you won't have anything to say. But I realize that fear is just coming from a resistance to being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to live in a vulnerable mode, not being afraid of being attacked or being threatened. So that's where fear comes from. It's when we're resisting being vulnerable or transparent. But anyway, I'm going to read this. This is something he said while walking the floor. And some of you might remember this if you're the old Cornerstoners. Our new Cornerstones, I'm calling all of you guys now Lively Stones, because that's what we are, Lively Stones. Anyway, this is what he said. And I think he was speaking, I know he was speaking in first person as Christ to us as a congregation at the time. You said this, you shall see me, and I am not asleep. I am the all-seeing eye. I have entered into your dream to reveal myself. I shall walk in this place, and you shall see me in this place of darkness. I shall reveal myself. You shall find me in the birds, the earth, the clouds, the dew of the morning. It shall be in the mind, the touch, the confusion, the seasons. Only the mind cannot see me. I am ready to be seen. And at the end of that, you said, believe this. And so it was like a prophetic word to our congregation that Christ spoke, that he is ready to be seen.
Approximately how long was that?
Oh, man.
Way back there.
Yes, it's way back there. Way back there. I don't even know.
Okay.
But this is way back. We were in the building on Wendover with 500 members at the time. Yeah. So yes, this is very, very old. But it was a prophetic message to our congregation coming straight from Christ, speaking from consciousness, speaking from that oneness. And that's what Christ said to us. He's ready to be seen. Ready to be seen.
That's something to think about. I never thought you had records like that.
Yeah. I've got oodles of journals with oodles of notes and things that I wrote while you were ministering, because back then we only ministered together when we had our early morning class before the actual church service. I didn't minister with you during the church service.
Yeah.
So this was something that you were doing on your own. And as you walked the floor, many times you would begin to sense the unction to speak from that oneness. And that's what that came. That's a result of it.
There was a lady in the at Walmart yesterday, Friday, and they was social mediaizing all their personal business, and everybody in the place could hear it. But I listened to them talk back and forth. I think everybody else was too. They had the store.
They were announcing it.
The whole store was had like it stopped. But when I got ready to walk out, I said a few things to her, and I said, I think I said it like this: you may not see me again after this, but you may not see me. But I told her, I said, I'll see you.
And you spoke from that oneness again.
Yeah, I did.
Again, yes.
I said, you won't. You may not see me, but I'll see you.
Yes.
And she sat there and she listened. Now, these are people, young people that was raised somewhat in the hood, and they didn't have anything blocking them from being outspoken. And
they needed a governor, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And I listened to them, and she was talking about looking for a new house and trying to find out with the kids. And I could tell by the way they talked, they was using the system to keep going.
Yeah.
But
you mentioned to me when you came home that you realized that a lot of the things that they had expressed about their lives was because they were afraid and they're trying to survive.
Yeah.
That's the mode they're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the way they vent. And I knew that they vented a lot over Facebook and YouTube and things like that.
That was their outlet.
Yeah. And they come through rough families, and children that they had that would be outdoors unassisted by parents. They could do anything. It was rough. But she said that she needed a house. I said, well, in the next six months or less, you'll find a house and the job and everything. And then when I got ready to go out, she sat there in the chair and she listened. When I bent over and I said, I'll be there. I'll be around. You won't see me, but I'll see you. And she looked at me like, and I walked away. Then I'm going to tell you this. That was another lady that was the fingernail done, and I was paying for the service I got. And she was a horse trainer. And I asked her, I said, she told me, I said, what do you do? She said, I train horses. And I asked her, has she ever heard of a big workhorse called a Clydesdale? And Anheuser-Busch, beer, whatever.
Yeah, that's beer.
Yeah, beer. And she said she trained horses. And I said, yeah, I've had a chance to talk to a few of them, animals. And she said, yeah, they communicate. And I said, they communicate on a frequency that a lot of people don't catch on to.
Okay.
So what you're talking about there and that in your journal, these are nuggets that was passed on through us in the beginning days of what we're doing now.
And I like the fact that God said through your mouth as an oracle, I shall reveal myself, and that you shall see me in this place of darkness. Letting us know that no matter how dark things get, that realization of God's presence would be with us all the time.
Yeah, so I didn't know that 50 years ago, I used this as reference to bring us up to a point. The beginning of this started, I would say, when I was a little boy, but I was thinking when most of the children where I was raised up was doing different things, I would always be around in the backyard
Mm-hmm.
working with wood because I was surrounded by a lot of different kinds of wood from my uncle. He ran what is called a business called wood yard, which means I had access to
To all this wood.
all the wood that
Yes.
and
Yes.
I never
And you
thought.
grew to love wood.
Oh yeah, shucks, yeah,
Just loves wood.
yeah, the trees, the wood, and I've been with him as a little boy out into the old sawmills
Yeah.
where they sawed the logs for lumber, building houses. And during that time, houses were made out of genuine, real 2x4s.
Mm-hmm.
The 2x4s that they sell now at the Lowe's, the fiber type stuff.
It's totally different.
The wood that we were talking about was made out of nothing, just oak, just hard oak. And some of the houses that my uncle tore down around the neighborhood, they had the rafters had turned brown.
Mm-hmm.
And they almost petrified. You cut them. You cut these logs or
they
these
were very hard.
Yeah, real hard.
Mm-hmm.
You cut them, and with the saw, it throws out a yellow sawdust.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of those, and the wood looked like it was burnt from the heat in the attic, the sun. The heat just burnt. But I was stay around, and I saw him build a shed or garage for his cars. And that was when I picked up a hammer, and I saw him take and we're talking about this potential that you just read off of your notes there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I saw him take a rusty nail, bent nail, straighten it out, and we had chopping blocks. He made me a little chopping block so I could and fix me a hatchet with a handle.
So that tells me that your uncle really embraced your creativity.
Yeah.
And helped you to develop it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we weren't thinking about that like we are now.
Oh, I know, but that's what was happening.
And so, he fixed a hammer and a hatchet, and I saw how he cut the slabs about that long. He cut them in half, make firewood. Mm-hmm. And from there, I found out how to take a nail, rusty nail, because if you went to the hardware store and bought nails.
Is this going to be a woodworking session?
No. I'm using this to show them about the workings of a resurrected consciousness.
Okay. Oh, wow. I like that.
When I got these nails, I straightened around. Sometimes he put grease on them from what he had on the kitchen stove. And then sometimes he would run it across his mouth and wet it and take that nail and strike one time and drive it completely through a piece of wood. Mm-hmm. And I picked that up, and first thing you know, I'm building toys, houses, little bitty houses. And when I'd be in school, all I wanted to do is get back home so I can finish making my toys. Okay. And I always made my toys authentically. I never did like the toys you get at the Toys R Us and them. Well, anyway.
I like what you said. The workings of a resurrected consciousness.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
The working of a resurrected consciousness. That ability to look at a piece of wood and then take it and shape it into a piece of a project that looks like metal. I don't know why I did that. I just knew that wood was some part of my life. But consciousness, awareness, these abilities that we have now, they are to be functional. I learned how to pull them up during that time. I didn't know they were gifts.
It was being developed.
Yeah.
And what I hear you saying is that it was pulled from imaginings into manifestation. Mm-hmm. So, because it had to start with an image in your mind, or an image in your heart, or whatever, and then your intuition, your intuitive abilities brought it into manifestation with the workings, like you said, the workings, doing, handling the wood, figuring out how to place different things where they should be, and how to cut this and how to do all of that came out of that image. And I thought when I thought about that, when I said the word image, I thought about us being created in the image and likeness of God. It's like that image still has to be brought out into manifestation, just like what you saw internally about the wood. God working in us. And there's a scripture said there's God working in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure.
Right.
So it's like God is molding us into that manifested embodiment of who he is.
Our environment, if you think back, may have been a liability.
It seemed to be.
It seemed to be. But it took a while up to this point to see all those things that I was involved in and around became an asset. And these potentials was in us. If I wanted to make something, I'd look at it.
And you've always been like that.
Yeah.
You've built all of your giant earth movers out of wood with like that. You've built the awnings on our house like that. When we lived in the trailer, you built a little prayer house.
Yeah, that's
on
right.
the side of my mom and dad's house.
Sure did.
You built a train layout. I mean, a massive train layout in the basement of my mom and dad's house.
Yeah,
that's when we first got married.
And the trains were made outside in the yard.
And you made trains that are big enough for kids to ride. We had all the kids in the neighborhood. And riding on the coal cars, and you had tracks made out of wood going around my mom and dad's yard. It was amazing. And so you always, and even the hats you made, and now you're making pants. So it's always something that you're creating out of that place. And so it's the creative ability, and you're actually an example of how to pull pull it up, that imagining out into manifestation.
And it's in all of us. It's in all of us.
And you don't wait until you know exactly how to do it. That's the thing I love about you. You just begin, and you learn from trial and error.
It's an inspiration that comes and say, I've had an inspiration to get back into wood, but because of the dust and things like that, I'm hesitant about it. But I'm talking about this today because as you move on into a greater awareness of who you really are in your infinite, the infinite communicates from within you. Another thing I want to say to you is that the full potential of your abilities did not all come into one place. You still have some abilities to work on in the outerverse as well as the universe and the innerverse.
Yes. Gonna read a couple of comments. Joe is reminding me to write the book. I told Joe that I was going to be writing a book, and I am still contemplating that book because I'm not real sure what's supposed to go in it, although I know I'm going to write it, Joe. Thank you for reminding me. I'm not real sure what Buzz is referring to. I just wanted to mention it. He said, I noticed some people are too particular for me. They say this, not that. Vedanta, not Buddhism or Christianity. There are some differences, but there are a lot of similarities. I'm not sure what Buzz is referring to. If you can elaborate on that, Buzz, then we'd appreciate it. But then there's other comments. Pearl says Jesus was a carpenter. And then Judy asked, did you have a sense of being in the wood or in the tools?
That's a good one. That's a good one. What developed in me was the sense of being inside of what I was making, in the sense if I wanted to make a diamond T tractor trailer that I could actually function. And I mean, I'm not talking about some little bit. I'm talking about wood, big ones. I would look at it, and in a meditative way, when I got ready to make the trains that like the kids ride on at the fairground, I would look at it,
yes,
and then pull it up out of the inside.
This is how he incubates.
Yeah,
he incubates when he says he meditates on it and contemplates it. I'm going to tell you, we were living in a mobile home at the time, and he had contemplated and meditated and incubated this thing so much about the trains till he was dreaming of trains. And I woke up, he's in the floor, still asleep, and he's watching how he's talking about his trains and how they're going to be moving. And I'm thinking, man, he is really into this. So it's like you become that, don't you?
Yeah. See, when I met you, I made you, and I put you together before I came to Earth and told you that you were going to be with me. And I met you at this club, and then you and when I met you at the club, you ended up clubbing me. So, exactly. So we was I was out clubbed.
Yeah. So Renee says, then she said, those train rides was so much fun. You were the conductor. Yeah, it was fun, and they were fast coming down that hill. Yeah. And coming around that corner behind the mobile home. Yeah. It's almost like it would lean.
Yeah, it would.
And everybody would scream just like it was a roller coaster. And you had the track actually switching. That's what was so phenomenal about it. Yeah. Anyway, let's get off of that for a minute.
Buzz saying something to you there.
Yeah, and so show us Sinette. I wanted to mention what Sinette said. She said, I had this realization today, and I think you guys are talking about something we mentioned earlier, so you'll have to refresh our memories. I had this realization today that we cannot be other than whole, that we cannot do anything other than helping each other, even though we are playing a game of separation. That is the Holy Spirit intervention of what we are and giving us a chance by chance to resurrect our own divine expression. Now I understand what she means. You were talking about the resurrected consciousness. So it's to resurrect our own divine expression.
There is a part of you that will always manifest itself from your infinite identity as nuggets of physical manifestations in this dream world. Yes. You are already functioning from your divine self at the notion of coming here, or the notion of the dream, or the notion of being in this dimension. You prepared all of this through your infinite abilities. Wow. We all prepared this event. The people that you meet in stores and in the marketplaces, you are operating in what is called finiteness, infiniteness, in conjunction with eternalness and allness, interwovenness, blendedness, and all of this working. When you meet these people in the street, if you don't do anything but pass them, you divinely set that up. True. Now, true. You know, in the book it said Jesus thought it not robbery to make himself equal with God. And listen to this: that sent you is that you are being sent. You are that was sending yourself. We sent ourselves here to find out who we were in this game. Now, as far as the Course in Miracles, I've looked at it. I love it, and I think it's very interesting. And I'm hoping that I will say some things here that will cause you guys, the next time you read it, things would jump out at you from the pages. Now, what jumps out at you in Revelation is what you've already made out of.
One of the things is, I guess, different or distinctive about how we've come to this realization is we didn't come to it from a book
That's right.
or a sacred text, not even the Bible. Even though the Bible, there were references of things in the Bible, but it was from our own spiritual impartations that were given to us by grace. The experiences that we had brought us to this knowledge, this knowing, I should say. So there's no allegiance to any particular thing for us.
Yeah. Right.
And we kind of sometimes makes us a little itchy, and that's the only word I can think of. When we hear people having an allegiance to a particular thing or particular text or particular, even though I know that we do that because that particular thing helps us, but for us, it's never been an allegiance to any particular book, any sacred text. So, I, like I said, I was thinking about what you said one day last week, I think, is that anybody can wake up without any sacred text.
Yeah.
Without any sacred text.
That's right.
And I think I remember saying this years ago, and I've said it so many times. What if you were on an island, never had a book, never had a Bible, couldn't even read? Could you find your connection with God? How would you find your connection with God? I think the primitive people found their connection with God through nature. Yeah. Through nature and just intuitive things arising in them, even in that creative ability, because they would create things and not know where it came, almost like out of nowhere. They would create something and manifest something that had never been on this earth before.
You came from what you created before you got here, so that you could see your creation with the eyes of God and get so familiar with that inspiration identity that listen, whenever it pleased you or pleased the Father to reveal itself in us as sons and daughters of God.
Yes.
It pleases. This is
so that means even if I'm that person on an island, never had, God is revealing itself.
Yeah.
And I like what it said. You said what God said through you in this that I read. Said, you shall find me in the birds, the earth, the clouds, the dew of the morning. Even says it shall be in the mind, the touch, the confusion, the seasons. Only the mind cannot see me.
You are, this is something. We are the closeness to God. Let me say it, see if I can say it another way. You are the revelatory experience to God, what he is in revelatory experience to you.
Yes, and Pearl says this. Years back, you guys told us we were the sacred text. Living epistles.
Oh, yes. Forgot about that one. That's right.
Yeah, we forgot about that, Pearl. You're right.
This is, I've run across over the years a lot of church folks who could function in manifested gifts, potentials. But the only thing that they came up with was to use it to manipulate and control people with it, to make gain from it. And then I found out that
or control. Yes.
And these abilities are coming back into my awareness again from a different perspective, from a different angle.
And I have to say this, that enlightenment and awakening is not for you to be successful. It is not for you in the sense of climbing the corporate ladder or trying to get $1 million. That's not the goal. If your desire for awakening or enlightenment is that only for that result, then you're not really on the path yet. Okay.
We are the walking, working functioning
Yes.
movement of God.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
whoa, whoa.
Oh, that was good. You know,
Mm.
walking, living, moving, functioning of God.
The
I like
functions
that.
of God. Yeah,
Mhm.
we are that. Now,
Yes.
let me break this. I want to take my time with this because the more of you are aware of your true identity, there will be manifestations not for you to get trapped in or to make another identity with.
Yes.
They'll become very spontaneous.
Yes.
When I sit down on the ground on the step where I was raised and get a hammer. See, when I started making toys, I didn't have electrical thing, and it frightened me a little bit because when we moved here and I wanted to build something. All I was using was a handsaw, a hammer, and rusty nails.
You even taught me how to saw.
Yeah.
And we did some renovation here in the house. And I actually had my own miter saw, and I've got my own toolbox, and together we did that. And when you did the awnings, I mean, you did that all by yourself. And I mean, it's awesome how you did that.
These potentials, what does it call it, lying dormant in us.
Yes.
I'm trying. What I'm going to do. I want you to see that enlightenment and waking up to your true identity is also a resurrection of potential abilities that are so spontaneous. Now, a lot of the sages that I've studied about, they had some of these functions in their life, but they never talked about it.
They didn't publicize.
They didn't publicize. That's what I want to say.
They didn't publicize.
They didn't publicize it.
And it's a lot of them now who have these abilities.
Yeah.
But they don't publicize it because that's not the pointing. The pointing is to who you are and finding that instead of running after some phenomenon.
Listen, I have seen personally in our life, as well experienced it being around certain men and women of God, which all of us are now.
Yes,
we find out.
We're all that, yes.
And I saw them work in these potentials of knowing, seeing, feeling the functions of the gifts of the Spirit, they call them. I dropped them, and when I did, I thought that when I went into what we're into now, that they would stop working and that I didn't need them anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I really thought that I was going to I could do away with them, but I found out in investigating that they're still there. They're there. I just had to learn how to function from the genuine instead of the monkey mind. Genuine monkey mind. I had to find out how to function from them in the love of God, which is no variance in. There's no weighing of sometimes you work in certain areas more than you do others. I'm trying to put these words together because I want you guys to see. I want you to see that these things did not stop when Christ Jesus left the earth. They are still here.
Oh, yeah. We're still in the book of Acts. If you want to say it like that.
When I came out from under anesthesia one time from colonoscopy, I saw a black sheet wall. Darkness. It was the God kind of darkness. It wasn't a darkness of threat and fear and intrepidation and intimidation. It was a LOVE type of darkness. It was
comforting darkness.
Comforting. And in that, when I stood in front of it, in my out-of-body experience, it said, "You will see and know everything about everyone you meet." You remember that?
Yes, you said that. But you cannot harm them.
No, you can't.
You cannot use it to harm them.
I've seen a lot of people that could work in these areas and would use them to bring fear and threats to people,
or control,
or
yes.
use them to get money from people with these operations.
To build their own empire.
That's
or
right.
Whatever. Yeah.
And these abilities come from and is mastered. They have been mastered. I say a master working inside of you. And some people say, well, I don't need that anymore. Big controversy we run into with different ones. And then I heard some people say, God didn't give me this. I don't have that operation. I don't have that function.
Well, I say that myself, and it may not be true. But I was just this morning, when I got up, I went out on the deck and it was so nice and cool. And I just sat out there for a moment and I did a little quick prayer. And I remember saying that it seems that the mystical side of you is so prevalent. I mean, you're constantly in touch with the other side. You're constantly having intuitive events happening. All kinds of things, lucid dream, all kinds of things, because you're that mystic. And while I know that I am a mystic as well, those things are not prevalent with me, except in rare occasions. And I think it's because of our temperament difference. But so sometimes we say, I can't do what you do, but I don't know if I can. I probably could. I'd have to really practice some things in order to get to that point, because our temperaments are so different.
The morning of the experience, the first experience I had of meeting Jesus in person, as he is real, if he was not real, you wouldn't be real.
Exactly, because he is you. That's
right. That ability started functioning through me day one. I was not with the intention of working in these spirituals or these abilities.
Right. They just happened.
They just happened because I woke up.
It just happened.
Yeah. I woke up.
It wasn't because anything you did. It just happened.
Right.
It was almost like you were placed on a path by the revelation that was given to you, or the things you saw and discovered or realized. You were placed on a path that you could not deviate from.
No. And it's like a taste. Once you get this freed up in you, the greatest freedom is when you find out that you are no longer your conditioning self.
Oh gosh, yes. Yes.
That is a big one.
That is a biggie. It's a biggie.
It was used to bring you to this point.
But it doesn't go away.
No.
But you do have a realization, a stronger realization that you are not that. And so then it begins to lose its influence, even though it doesn't disappear.
That's right. You are the gift of God to each other.
To the world.
To the world. To
the world, yes.
But something else I had to learn about these functions, and I'm just kind of speaking out of the Bible here, was 1 Corinthians 12. One of the things I've noticed about these functions is that I thought I had to work to get them.
That's the ego mindset.
I thought I had to work to get something that was already lying dormant inside of me. And I've noticed they came forward in certain situations that was where they were needed. I mean, I was in the post office one time, and I was getting ready to get some stamps in Winston-Salem. And as I was standing there at the counter, the teller was waiting on me. There was a lot of people behind me, and one lady directly behind me passed out. Well, I saw her out of the corner of my eye, and it's like all of a sudden, everything in that post office went into slow motion. And when I looked, I was moving real slow, and I reached back to grab her, and all of a sudden, it was like I was watching me do something I wasn't expecting to happen.
It's like another you
Yeah,
forward.
yeah,
Yes,
it did.
Well, and
Yeah.
and I'm glad you mentioned that, because my
Wow.
my first imparted lesson, impartation of this revelation came when another me surfaced in me, and that me that surfaced was Jesus, was the Christ.
Yeah.
Not Jesus the man, but the Christ. That oneness of being surfaced, and I've never lost that, because it surfaced. And when you have that happen to you, where you sense that you, other than you, arise and surface, you don't lose that.
That's right.
You never lose that. I don't care what your mind and your feelings do or say, what situations come or goes, it never is lost. Once it becomes fixated in you. So it's like we've been blessed to have imparted lessons, impartations that we didn't really work for, and it is only grace.
Yeah,
it
that's
is
right.
Only grace.
If the same Spirit dwell in you, and it does, if the same Christ dwells in the person next to you, know this, that same Spirit dwells in everybody, in the universe.
Everyone.
I have noticed.
And not just dwells, but is everyone.
Right. We're going into that, because I thought that when I had this experience, I thought it was basically personal for me. And then when I went to the church, they made it seem like they had something on a corner with God, that even the ones that stand up and testify, they had the same thing. But everybody seemed to be the ace on this thing.
Yeah, everybody was expert.
And everybody had a corner with God.
Everybody was an expert on God, and knew everything God wanted, and knew everything about God. And I've always said, this God at infinity is too vast for any one of us to know everything.
This that we're talking this morning is a function on a first person basis. You and the Father are the same Spirit. You and the person next to you is of the same identity.
Yes.
Take a deep breath and relax, because you're getting ready to see God through insight.
That's right.
Take a deep breath now. Let it go, because you're going to find out that God has interfaced himself into your form.
Yes. Actually, into your five senses.
Every fiber of your being.
Into every cell of your body.
Yes.
Every system in your body.
Yes.
Into every synapse of your brain.
Look out, girl. Look out.
Every part of the gray matter.
Whoa, glory be to God.
In the fluids that run through you, there's God in all of that.
I had a chance to see that all the manifestations of the Spirit are spirit beings that function from the light world. I told the lady, I said, you have had an entourage of light beings around you ever since there was ever a day one birthing of your physical body.
Which lady is this?
I say ladies. This one of the ladies I saw at this
where you got your feet done.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Do you think she's ever heard that before?
Oh no, no, no. I often say that to many people,
I know, I
but
know. And so it's like we've been destined
mhm,
to remind people of
mhm,
what they
mhm.
are.
And you know,
And that's
mhm.
and I don't see that as a ministry. It's a
No, no.
life. It's a
It's a
life.
life. It's the function of life. You are the potential of God,
Yes.
and you did not bring all of it in this world
Yes.
individualized. It functions as a unit with others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, there are strangers among us. Your eternal self is aware that there are a host of light beings that have assisted you in this pathless path and have brought you into the awareness of this, because you are going to see God in everything you do.
Well, I'm going to read this again. He said, "You shall see me.
Mm-hmm.
I am the all-seeing eye, and I've entered
Mm-hmm.
into your dream to reveal myself." That is exactly what has
Mm-hmm.
happened. It's
Mm-hmm.
entered into the dream to reveal itself. He said, "I shall walk in this place, and you shall see me in this place of
Mm-hmm.
darkness. I shall reveal myself. You shall find me in the birds, the earth, the clouds, the dew in the morning. It shall be in the mind,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
touch, the
Mm-hmm.
confusion, the seasons. Only the mind cannot see me."
There will be many occasions where you cannot talk to people about who you are and what has happened to you in these enlightened experiences. So, the best way for you to talk to them is do say nothing with your lips, but speak it loud with your presence.
Exactly.
That means you're going to have to somehow or another,
Yes,
you're going to have to
yes, yes.
exchange presence. From the presence of yesterday, you must change to a different gear, and that's spontaneous. Now, when I say you must and all these things, I'm not talking about you working at it so hard like I did and others are doing.
It's just necessary that you see
But
that.
I want you to be able to recognize this when it pops up or when it come into the forefront of your consciousness. I want you to recognize it, because you're getting ready to experience a part of you that is so gracious. You are so blessed. You are so exquisite.
Yes.
You are the apple of God's eye.
Yes, sir.
All over the universe.
Yes,
everybody is.
Yes. I got a couple of other comments, Pastor, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Sinette says, "We don't have the whole picture. So how can we judge? But we can insist in seeing each other's beautiful souls and feel the connection."
Now you're talking.
Yes,
now
Sinette,
you're talking.
that is true. And I often say this too as well, Sinette, and just to elaborate on what you mentioned, when the Bible, when it tells us not to judge, it's not saying it because it's a wrong thing to do. But the reason why we're told not to judge is because our judgment is distorted, just as you said. We don't have the whole picture. So we often come to a conclusion based on what our mind assesses and the way it interprets what we perceive, and then our judgment is completely erroneous most of the time. So that's why we're told not to judge. Then I want to read what Vincent from California. Hey, Vincent, he said, "I feel God is fused with your very presence.
Yeah.
I believe the essence of Him is on us all.
Yes.
In us all.
Yes.
And flowing through us all at all points."
The divine blood, the divine function of the blood of the infinite identity flows in every one of our veins. And when you get inside, I had a chance to go inside of a vein, a passage.
See what I mean? That's definitely a mystic. You went inside of a vein?
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
That's
I had a chance
totally different from everyone else.
And I stood inside of a vein, like standing inside of a big a big
And it was like,
pipe.
and I remember you telling me it was
Mhm.
like highways.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I remember you also saying you went to the level of an ant.
yeah.
So this is the kind of stuff he does, and it's just normal, everyday stuff for him.
We are made out of all the gifts of the Spirit and abilities of God,
Yes.
and the abilities of God are made out of us.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see these manifestations, you're seeing your natural, normal function of being in a dream and a story that you are here. These potentials are supernatural to others, but they are natural, normal to you.
Yes.
My aunt, the lady that raised me, never went to school. She never went to a study about what they call it, culinary. She never did that, but she worked around wealthy bankers and their homes. She did house cleaning for them, and she couldn't read. But whenever they had a banquet or they had some type of gathering,
she knew how to
I'm telling you the truth. She had the white aprons and the outfit. And she cooked intuitively. Yeah, she did. Yes, she did.
And it was delicious.
Yeah. And I used to sit in the kitchen, little boy, and watch her. And you're not a good cook until you can do it without recipe. Oh, and without Lord. Measurement. She didn't have to have anything like that. Just, throw a little bit of this in there and throw a little bit of that in there. Yeah. And it turns out great. Yeah. That's when you know you're a good cook. I'll tell you, and I was raised in a place where people were illiterate. Yeah. But they were very intuitive. And you believed that you were illiterate for years. Yeah, I did. Until you had your initial conversion and saw your higher self as Christ. Then all of the potentials opened up. Everything opened up. Yeah. Now our time is gone. Oh, sure. We only have 2 more minutes. I know you're just getting started. Lord. Wow. Good morning, Lady Gwen. It's good to see you guys with us, and I miss you guys so much. So this is the thing. When there is a resurrected consciousness, you mentioned it earlier. The resurrected consciousness brings out of that is hidden. It brings it to the forefront where everybody can see it, and it begins to be seen. Each one of your souls, from time past of your childhood to now, this is something I want you to hear this real good. God made cracks, an earthquake. God made cracks. Now you don't. No, wait a minute. I'm gonna finish it. I'm running dry. God used all those rough situations in your life to bring cracks and broken places in the window of your soul in order for the oil of revelatory gladness to flow through you. These openings in your soul were there deliberately. When I saw Jesus' heart broken to 1,000,000 pieces, and yet it still stayed together as a physical essence, those lines of brokenness was the place where he released his compassion and his empathic abilities. Some of you out there now that's listening to us, I'm trying to explain something that's unexplainable. You are. You're going to begin to see the empathicness of your enlightened, awakened abilities. You don't say, I don't need them. You never know when you're going to use them. And I'm going to be honest with you. Some of you have been using and working through it, but you just didn't call it what we called it this morning. Right. You're going to see these things operate through you in a more fluent way. Water will talk to you. The grass will speak to your feet. The air that you breathe will begin to show itself as a tangible substance, and you will be able to reach inside of yourself and pull the oxygenation of your eternal self into the physical manifestation for you to become a functional stage and a platform that will bring many others around to the awareness of their super self by waking up to what has happened to you.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
okay, we're going to stop. Time is up. I got to make myself quit.
Oh, and it's so good this morning. It's so good, and it just flowed so
Lord
easy
have
this
mercy.
morning.
I'm telling
It's
you,
good. It's
I could
good.
bite you.
And you guys preach so well. I
Yeah.
love your comments. I love
Yeah.
your comments.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being with us today. Robert Durrell, I see you here, sweetheart. I see you. We just appreciate you so much. So I posted on there how to give, and you guys have been doing that, been faithfully giving this summer. And usually summertime, people just kind of slack off because they're doing so many fun things. But you guys have held the fort for us. You're still doing your tithes
Thank
and
you
your
so
offering,
much.
and those of you who have not, if you have it, we thank you for giving it. We want you to remember to send your tithes and offerings to Cornerstone, which is still a virtual church and is responsible for its own expenses, part of which is Pastor and I, our housing allowance. So we thank you for giving to the Cornerstone and for giving to Cash App for us directly. We appreciate you guys so much, and we couldn't do this without you. And we're doing something new, and I'm gonna really need your support. I'm gonna have to get a camcorder and a tripod, so I need to focus on doing that, so we can bring some other things to you. But we thank you for being here, and we bless you guys for tuning in to us, and we'll see you again on Tuesday night at 7:00.
I wish I could have power packed everything that we said, because I didn't get anywhere close to getting out of this body what I want to say. But it'll be another time.
I know.
It's just so much we want to try to pack it into one place and get you guys, because we're excited about what we're doing, and we're excited that you are faithful and committed and dedicated to helping us to keep going in this. And I thank you, every one of you, with great grace and gratitude.
Tuesday night, I think we met a couple. I think when we had lunch last week. Yeah, we
did.
And I think I'm gonna have them come in as our guest on Tuesday night. Not real sure, but we may have some guests on Tuesday night. And they're not ministers or anything, but they got a story, and I'd like for them to share it. And they need to be able to get their feet wet. They've been saying they need to tell the story. But they haven't had an opportunity, and they didn't know how they were going to do it. But we might do that Tuesday night. So.
And you guys have a wonderful, blessed day.
And we're going to go find us a chicken that died that
we're going to go to a moment of silence and give our respects to this chicken that died that we might live.
Thank you, Vincent Kelly, for sending us something on Cash App.
Thank you. And for the rest of you who have sent something or plan to do so, thank you before you do it. And it is greatly appreciated. The most important gifts that you could give is your presence, yourself.
Yes. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Tuesday night at 7.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.